after this fight, the fans and the matchmakers are begging to see me back. I want to be active. I'm used to fighting 4 or 5 times a year. Fighting 2 times last year was torture for me.
My next guest is going to be back in action. UFC Fight Night, February 10th. It's right around the corner. It's Zac Pauga joining me here on the program yet again. Zac, how are you?
Doing great. Doing great.
Good. How was the holidays? Obviously, this fight a little bit after that, so I'm sure you got to enjoy the holidays a little bit.
I got to enjoy Thanksgiving, and that's the one that matters to me. But I enjoyed Thanksgiving. I was kind of in camp mode during Christmas, so the family just had to deal with it. But otherwise, great little holiday season there.
Well, and at least you knew about the fight ahead of time, right? It would have been worse if, let's say, you got like a short notice fight and you had to like interrupt all the Christmas plans, assuming that you weren't going to get to fight, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the nightmare scenario. Eat a bunch of food and then they say they want you to make weight in 7 days.
Yeah, no, that's not good. We haven't seen you in a while. Obviously, we haven't yet. You last fought in June. Was there injuries? What's sort of the reason why we haven't seen you in the cage for so long?
It's nothing on my end. I want to fight. I want to fight, and I do understand. My last 2 performances in the UFC weren't stellar, and so that's what my goal for this one is. After this fight, the fans and the matchmakers are begging to see me back. I want to be active. I'm used to fighting 4 or 5 times a year. Fighting 2 times last year was torture for me.
Okay, so you think the UFC was kind of like not making you a priority, basically, but you say you were like ready to go and take a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I was begging for fights, and they did offer me a few, which I accepted, and then those guys didn't accept. So, I'm not saying it's all the UFC. It's just a combination of things, but what the UFC wants, they usually get. So I want them to want me to be on their cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, does that surprise you a bit? I'm sure you experienced this a lot in the regional scene where you had guys turn you down, but to have this in the UFC, was that surprising? Just because, everyone's supposed to fight everyone, right?
It shocked me. It absolutely shocked me. This is the UFC. I didn't think you could turn fights down. I've never turned down a fight in my life, let alone in the UFC. I had no idea that was even an option. And for unranked guys, maybe if you're, the first number 1 ranked guy in your weight class and you think you deserve a title shot, okay, but we're unranked. Like, how can you turn guys down in an unranked fight?
Yeah, no, that's super surprising. And speaking of surprising, your last fight, I think a lot of people felt like you won that, Zac. And I don't know if you know, there's a website called MMA Decisions where the media can submit their scorecards. If you go and look on there, 2 media members scored the fight for Modestas, 10 scored it for you. I think most people felt like you should have got your hand raised there. Losses suck, but does that make it a little bit better just knowing that people felt like you should have got your hand raised there?
It doesn't make it much better, but I did think I won as well. But there's always room for growth, right? I didn't deserve to win that fight. I fought, that's the worst I've ever fought. And I still should have won, but I didn't deserve it. And so I didn't get it. And that's my goal now, is to turn out performances that nobody can deny.
Yeah, absolutely. And why do you think you didn't fight so well in that fight? Was there any particular reason, or just you had a lot of time to digest it, right?
Yeah. And it was, all credit to Modestas. He was tougher. He was tougher than I expected. And I'll just say that. I dropped him in the first minute of the fight, and I thought I was just gonna put him away. And he stuck around and he fought back and even wobbled me a few times. So, it was poor expectations on my part, not respecting him enough and not respecting the moment enough. This is the UFC. Everybody's good.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about your opponent here. 14-3 record. What do you know about him? How do you feel like you match up against him here?
Yeah, so I feel like it's a great matchup for me. He kind of came in with a lot of hype. His UFC debut was against a ranked opponent, a friend of mine, Volkan Ozdemir. He has a big, crazy amateur record, tons of knockouts. But the times he's been tested, he's come up short, and so that's my goal here, and that's what I think I do the best, is grind guys out and make them struggle. I'm not going in there trying to get in a firefight with him.
camp. How's all that going? I see Curtis Blades, your teammate there, has got that fight rebooked with Jalton Almeida. So looks like he's back in the gym. Who else are you getting to work with over there at Elevation?
So yeah, this camp has been the best camp I've ever had. Curtis just signed his fight, is going into camp. We're getting work. Devin Clark is fighting on the same card as we're fighting.
That's right. Talking to him in literally 15 minutes right after you. Just by design, it totally worked out that way. So yeah. So I'll be happy to talk to the brown bear, but
yeah. So we've been doing everything together, and it's you can't I can't even describe how amazing it is to have a good high quality partner in general, and then that's fighting on the same day as you. So we're on the same timeline, doing all the same workouts, same weight class. So we're eating all the same food and really just pushing each other to the next level.
That's great. What's it like having Devin in the gym? I know he's been there for a little bit now. Obviously used to be at Jackson Wink, but just such a nice guy. I imagine he's a good, I don't want to use the word locker room because you guys are on the mats, but let's just be like a good guy in the gym to have.
He's great. He's amazing. I've had a lot of teammates, and not everyone's really willing to share, especially with their same weight class, right? Same weight class, same company that we fight for. But his wrestling is so top tier. I'm always trying to pick his brain, always trying to improve my own wrestling. And he's more than willing to share and help. And he's always helped me along. And he's been in the UFC for a long time. He's a vet. He's a vet, and he's always helping me out, giving me the phone number of the lady that gets your family tickets, all this stuff. He's always helping me out.
That's awesome. Any up and comers you're working with as well? I know you guys are constantly, turning out really good prospects in the gym too. Do you work with any sort of guys on the regional scene at all?
I'm trying to think heavyweights, what we've got coming to the regional scene.
Ty Flores trains with you guys, right? Yeah.
So Ty Flores and Ben Tynan are also part of our squad. They're in the PFL and won championship. So I wouldn't call them up and comers. They're in the big show, just in different
promotions.
Different promotions. Yeah. Brian Shaw just started training with us. He's taking a fight in Qatar the week after ours. The four-time world's strongest man. They're doing some crazy fight against some other 400-pound guy in Qatar. So he's been training with us.
Yeah, I saw Curtis posted a photo of him on Facebook. I saw, which was just crazy, and he makes Curtis look like not as big as he is. Right? It's crazy.
Oh, it's hard to train. It's hard to train with him. He's inhuman. Yeah. He's 440 pounds, like 6'8".
Oh my God.
He weighs more than me than I weigh than Juliana Pena. He's 200 pounds heavier than I am.
Oh, that's crazy. That's nuts. Your corner, who will be making the trip with you? Who's going to be in the cage with you that night?
It'll be my same coaches as always, Vinny Lopez and Cody Donovan. They've been with me since the beginning. They are my coaches. I knew nothing about fighting when these guys brought me up, and they've gotten me all the way to the UFC, and they're who's going to get me to a belt.
How's this fight playing out on February 10th? How do you see it going down?
Yeah, I see me grinding him out, cooking him, and getting a finish. Him giving up his back for a choke or a TKO.
Is this the last fight on your contract? Because I know usually they do 4-fight deals, right?
So since I have the Ultimate Fighter contract, mine's a 6-fight deal.
Oh, so, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so obviously the contracts are not guaranteed, but still, I mean, that's not. It'd be much different if this was the last fight. So that's good.
Yeah. So my hope, get a big knockout here and then get put on a new contract is what I'm hoping here.
There you go. Good way to start off 2024. Speaking of the Ultimate Fighter, it sounds like they're coming back and doing another show. Who should coach that show? Because I can't think of anyone right now, really. It seems like, there's not a lot of options, especially with the fact that they're really trying to stack some of these pay-per-views coming up here. So kind of some of the big names are already taken up unless they, someone already fights and then they decide to put them as coaches. Do you have any ideas? Anything come to mind?
Colby just fought. He's going to be on the resting for a while. He should do it. He's going to draw eyes, whether you like him or not. And that's what the Ultimate Fighter is really about. You're only with your coaches for 6 weeks. So it's not like you're getting that much better with your coach. It's who's going to draw the most eyes. So it should be Colby, or have Connor and Chandler do it again. I don't know. You're right. There's not many names or characters kind of floating around that are available.
And you sort of answered my question earlier, but I imagine you want to keep active this year, right? Go out there, get a good finish, get booked up. Because again, like you mentioned there, you don't want to, have 2 fights a year. You'd probably like to have 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have 2 goals for this year, 2 goals for my career, 4 fights, and I want to get out of the apex. I want to fight on a pay-per-view, even if it's
Yeah,
the
that's a bummer.
prelims. Yeah, I want to fight on a pay-per-view, and I want to fight 4 times this year.
And we talked about it off the top. What did you get up to for your holidays? You mentioned, again, didn't really get to celebrate too much. It was more about Thanksgiving. Take me through Thanksgiving and then what you ended up doing on Christmas. I'm sure you had to train.
So I took my son to Universal Studios on
Nice.
Thanksgiving, and then we drove to Arizona. That's where most of my family lives. So we just drove and had a huge, my dad's got 12 brothers and sisters. So we had a huge, huge family gathering on Thanksgiving, like 100 people there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then Christmas Day was just chill. I got super sick actually. Had the man flu, I was down and out. So just chilled, watched my kids open presents, watched them play with their toys, but nothing crazy at all Christmas Day.
But I'll tell you what is going to be crazy. This fight, February 10th, I'm looking forward to it. It is UFC Fight Night. Zach, always appreciate the time, man. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, so just check me out. My social media is ZACPAUGA everywhere, Instagram, Twitter. I'm always sponsored by First Form. They've had my back since the beginning of this thing. So check out my link on all my socials.